over the last 2 months, I think there's been an incredible improvement by Brooklyn, Chicago, and Toronto. And I think Indiana's a little bit more vulnerable because they have less offensive weapons. And thus, I think they'll be in much closer games in the early rounds. And I think if they're not ready and they have, a bad offensive spell, they could lose a home game. And I think they could get beaten. I don't think they will. I think both them and Miami will advance ultimately to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I don't think it's as clear-cut as I thought over the first 2 months of the season.
Well, I like the Nets, and I don't think the Nets will embarrass themselves in the playoffs because I think that's going to be a heck of a team to have to play. But it is disappointing to me that in must-win situations to try to win the division, they lose a couple of games in overtimes to lesser teams. So, and obviously what the Knicks did with losing to Cleveland and then, losing to L.A., it just seems to me like some of these other teams that might end up making the playoffs haven't really played as well as they should down the stretch.
Well, Brooklyn has the best record in the league since January 1st.
No, I know, but now
you can't expect them to win every game. And Charlotte, frankly, is pretty good.
No, I know, but you turn up the heat when you got a chance now to win the division. Those are a couple of bad losses by Brooklyn.
I don't agree. I don't think losing on the road to a good Charlotte team, or pretty good, not a good Charlotte team, an acceptable Charlotte team with one great player and one pretty good player. I think the Nets have completely overachieved after incredibly underachieving in the first 2 months. If you look at their roster, why would Deron Williams, Sean Livingston, Joe Johnson, Paul Pierce at the 4, and dramatically different Paul Pierce and Miles Plumlee with Andre Blatch, Allen Anderson, why would anyone think that's a great talented team that can't lose to other teams? I think they've completely overachieved these last 3 months. I think they all deserve a lot of credit, players and coaches alike, and they all deserved blame in the first couple months where they weren't giving their maximum to the cause of winning.
Do you believe that Garnett can return, and will he make that much of a difference when he does return in the playoffs?
I don't know about the can. I think they're good with their rotation right now. I think Plumlee gives them good energy. I think he's good along the baseline, catching and finishing on dribble penetration. I think Jason Kidd, if Garnett comes back, it's hard to keep him out of the rotation, but I'm not sure that it makes him better going into the playoffs.
Jeff, is it fair to say that maybe Miami's even more vulnerable considering the fact of how much they've played in recent years, and they don't seem to get the big rebounds they need in close games?
Well, it's a vulnerability, their rebounding game. I also don't think right now their ball movement is as good. I think they have some guys who've been very good contributors to their team over the past few years that, are on the downside. Certainly Ray Allen and Shane Battier and Udonis Haslem, even though they're still, capable of good performances, the consistency is not there. And, it's going to be harder. And frankly, I think the way the game's officiated, the verticality plays at the rim, where those used to be, fouls, now the benefit of the doubt is going to the defender. So, I think there's a lot of things that are going to get in the way of Miami's chance to repeat. But I do believe at the end of the day they'll be one of the Final Four teams standing. And if they get to that point, they're still going to be very difficult to beat in a series.
Jeff, I know it's a horrible word to say in sports, and you're probably going to disagree because of it, but isn't it fair to analyze the Knicks in that third quarter against the Lakers when they gave up 51 points that they quit?
Well, to quit, you have to start. And I in that quarter, I don't think they even started with an effort that you could then say they quit. If you're the Knicks as a player, you have to really be disappointed in the effort you gave in really what to me was a game that they should have been salivating over. I mean, they just lost the lead to Cleveland at home. They're still right there in the playoffs. And, to not give a maximum effort defensively, frankly, I don't understand it. I don't understand the lack of commitment to the cause.
Now, yesterday when they beat the Kings, Carmelo Anthony was asked after the game. He said, "We had no idea that the Hawks had lost." Do you buy that at all? They're chasing that team.
Yeah, I can see, that they're focused in on just their game because I don't know what time the Hawks game finished on the West Coast, probably
about 11, I think.
Yeah, so they're in the midst of their game already. But frankly, I think the awareness of some players would be like they know every move Atlanta's making. They know Korver's been out for 3 games with a bad back. They know things like that are occurring. So I think every player treats it differently. I've been around both kinds, the oblivious kind and the guy who is locked into every play by the teams they're chasing. I don't think either way is better. I think the thing that you have to do as a player is control what you can and get yourself ready to play.